નવનાથ વણિક એસોસિએશનના માનનીય પ્રમુખ શ્રી દિલીપભાઈ મીઠાણી, મુરબ્બી વડીલ શ્રી ભૂપેન્દ્રભાઈ શાહ, ઝૂમ ટીમના વડા શ્રી અરવિંદભાઈ મહેતા, ભાઈઓ તથા બહેનો, આપ સર્વને મારા જય જિનેન્દ્ર, જય શ્રી કૃષ્ણ અને સાદર પ્રણામ. મારું નામ નલિનભાઈ ઉદાણી છે અને નવનાથ વડીલ મંડળમાં પ્રેસિડેન્ટ તરીકે સેવા આપી રહ્યો છું. છેલ્લા 9 માસ થયા નવનાથ આપ સમક્ષ વિવિધ ઝૂમના માધ્યમ દ્વારા અવનવા પ્રોગ્રામો લાવી રહ્યા છે. તેમાં આ અગાઉ વડીલ મંડળ કુકરીના પ્રોગ્રામ શકુબેન શેઠ અને સરોજબેન વારિયા રજૂ કરી ચૂક્યા છે, જેને ઘણો સારો પ્રતિસાદ મળેલ. દર વર્ષે જાન્યુઆરીનો મહિનો જે વિગન્યુઅરી તરીકે પ્રચલિત છે અને તેમાં 2014થી 192 દેશોના 1 મિલિયન માણસોને તેમાંથી પ્રેરણા મળી છે. દુનિયામાં માંસાહારનો ત્યાગ કરી વિગન્સની સંખ્યામાં ઉત્તરોત્તર વધારો થતો રહ્યો છે, જે ખૂબ જ આનંદની વાત છે. એવું માનવામાં આવે છે કે યુકેમાં 2020માં અંતમાં વિગનની વસ્તી વધીને 22 લાખની થઈ ગઈ છે. આશા રાખું છું કે આજનો આ વિગન કુકરીનો શો તમને પણ વિગન જીવનશૈલી પસંદ કરવાની પ્રેરણા આપશે. મને જણાવતા અત્યંત આનંદ થાય છે કે આજનો વિગન રસોઈનો પ્રોગ્રામ વડીલ મંડળના સભ્ય શ્રીમતી જયશ્રીબેન મોદીએ 101 પાઉન્ડ ખુશી ભેટ આપી સ્પોન્સર કરેલ છે. તે માટે મંડળ વતી હૃદયપૂર્વક તેમનો આભાર માનું છું. જયશ્રીબેન મોદી જૈન સેન્ટર કોલિન્ડેલમાં આગળ પડતી સેવા આપી રહ્યા છે. માનવ સેવા, ધાર્મિક પ્રવૃત્તિ, પશુપાલન, બાળકોનું શિક્ષણ, જ્યાં જ્યાં દાનની જરૂરત હોય ત્યાં તેમનું નામ આગળ પડતું હોય છે. વડીલ મંડળ જયશ્રીબેનની અંતકરણપૂર્વક અનુમોદના કરે છે અને ઈશ્વર તેમને આરોગ્યદાયી લાંબુ જીવન આપે તેવી પ્રાર્થના કરે છે. આજના પ્રોગ્રામ વિશે તમારો અભિપ્રાય એટલે કે ફીડબેક zoom@navnath.com જરૂર આપશો. પ્રોગ્રામ દરમિયાન રેસીપી સ્ક્રીન પર બતાવવામાં આવશે, જેનો આપ સ્ક્રીનશોટ લઈ શકશો અને તમારે રેસીપી જોઈતી હોય તો zoom@navnath.com ને ઈમેલ કરશો તો તમને મોકલી આપશે. પ્રોગ્રામ દરમિયાન તમારે કોઈ સવાલ પૂછવો હોય તો ચેટ દ્વારા પૂછી શકશો. આજના વિગન કુકરી શો મિડલ ઇસ્ટર્ન ડિલાઇટ્સ એમાં ભાગ લેનાર ભાઈઓ તથા બહેનો પ્રેક્ટિસિંગ વિગન્સ છે અને પહેલી જ વાર લાઈવ કુકિંગ પ્રોગ્રામમાં ભાગ લઈ રહ્યા છે. તેઓ સૌ અભિનંદનને પાત્ર છે. Today's vegan cookery show, we have 2 main coordinators, Hina Ben Modi and Punima Ben Meswani. Punima Ben is the event organizer for Vadil Mandal and joined the committee very long time ago. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce a very talented lady who has been vegan for over 10 years and a vegetarian for decades. Her name is Hina Modi. In her presentation, she will bring compassion and practical insights to the topic of going vegan and staying vegan in terms of diet, as well as taking you beyond food into a vegan lifestyle overall. Hina is a qualified school teacher and nutrition practitioner. આપ સર્વની જાણ ખાતર હિનાબેન મોદી શ્રીમતી જયશ્રીબેન મોદીના સુપુત્રી થાય. Let us give a very warm welcome to Hina Modi.
Thanks, Uncle. Before we begin, I'd just like to ask everyone if, for those of you who have your videos on, if you could do a thumbs up if you have heard of Veganuary before. So thumbs up if you've heard about Veganuary before. And if you haven't got your video on, or you want to just show in the chat, if you could write yes, just to give us an idea of who actually has heard of it before. Nalin Uncle just spoke about it. Okay, I see many thumbs up and a few messages in the chat. So I'm just going to have a quick look. Oh, awesome. Lots of people. Okay, so what I wanted to talk to you about. Oh, excellent. Some practicing vegans. Okay, lovely. So for those of you who don't know that much about Veganuary, Veganuary is an annual challenge run by a UK non-profit organisation that seeks to encourage people to go vegan for the month of Veganuary. And I'm just going to show some slides as well. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. But actually I don't need to, do I? So yeah, I'm a natural health practitioner, and moving on to this, so Veganuary. So yeah, the name came from going vegan in January, so vegan January, Veganuary. So yeah, it's a non-profit organisation that seeks to encourage people to go vegan for the month of January. It began in 2014, and participation has more than doubled each year. This year, 500,000 people signed up. So that is just amazing, isn't it? Labels. So there are many labels that are used to describe and help us understand what people will eat, won't eat, can eat, can't eat. And the reason I use those words is because some of it is to do with choice, and some of it is to do with they can't because they're allergic or whatever. So some of the words or some of the labels are pescatarian, polo-vegetarian, flexitarian, ovo-vegetarian, vegetarian, and vegan. Some definitions for you. So the Vegetarian Society says that those who don't eat meat, poultry, game, fish, shellfish, or byproducts of animal slaughter are technically vegetarians. The Vegan Society describes vegan in terms of diet as those who seek to exclude all forms of animal products that are derived wholly or partly from animals. Now, these labels are important only because we want you to understand that this show is about vegan cooking, vegan food, and we just wanted you to know from the onset what vegan meant in case there was a lack of clarity about that. So, plant-based or vegan. So some of you may have heard about, sorry, too far. Some of you may have heard about the term plant-based. Without getting into too much detail, the term plant-based is often used to describe those who exclude any form of meat or animal products from their diet. So then what's vegan? So the Vegan Society explains that veganism is a philosophy and a way of living that seeks to exclude, as far as possible, as far as practical, all forms of exploitation of and cruelty to animals for food, clothing, or any other purpose. So basically it's going beyond food. It's about the clothes, cosmetics, accessories, all sorts of things. So you could say that plant-based is being vegan by mouth, and being vegan, the term vegan, is living a vegan lifestyle, i.e. vegan by wallet. That's one way to kind of get your head around it if you're not sure. So if you're vegan by wallet, which is leading a vegan lifestyle, anything and everything that vegans purchase would exclude animals and animal products. So what does that mean in terms of food? What's off the dining table? So that would be meat, poultry, fish, seafood, insects. And then by the subcategories from animal products would be eggs, dairy, honey, and gelatin. And insect products, because we've already said insects, so insect products would be bee products, for example. So those things are off the table. What's left on the table? So I put left in inverted commas because there is so much. So really too much to list, but if you try and clump together into categories to make it easier, all the fruits and vegetables you can think of: grains, pulses, nuts, seeds, breads, rice, pasta, dairy alternatives for milk, cream, yogurt, cheese, eggs, even eggs. There's vegan alternatives for that. It's amazing. Tofu, seitan, tempeh, oils, vinegars, herbs, spices, condiments and sauces, and anything else that's made of plants and not sentient creatures. So hopefully that clarifies what you'll be seeing today in terms of the good types of ingredients that we'll be using and those that we won't. So last but not least, we really, really hope that you enjoyed the delights that are going to be made by our wonderful demonstrators. We hope to inspire you to try and make more vegan meals. And lastly, we would love for you to see how easy it is to eat plant-based and how many things that you currently eat that may already be vegan or naturally vegan or vegan by accident. So after the event, if you have any questions about a plant-based diet or following a vegan lifestyle, feel free to visit plantshift.com or look up PlantShift on Instagram, Facebook or Twitter, and I can help you out there. Now I'm going to hand over to Purnima Ben, who's going to introduce the demonstrators. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Ranjana Patel. Ranjana Patel is a henna and rangoli artist, an all-round crafter. She has been vegetarian all her life. She has decided to go vegan just before UK's first lockdown in March 2020. Since then, she said she's feeling less bloated and feels more energetic. And children are happy to have a meal that she cooks, and therefore their dairy intake has drastically reduced. Let's welcome her. And Ranjana Ben, you can start, and you got 30 minutes.
Thank you, Purnima Ben, and thank you to the Navnath Vanik Association for this opportunity. So, hello, Jai Janendra, Jai Swaminarayan, Jai Shri Krishna. Good afternoon. Without further ado, excuse the mess behind. That's my fridge full of recipes. Without further ado, I'm going to get straight into the recipes. I'm going to start with doing a tahini dressing. And that's it. There we go. We've got the recipe for the tahini dressing. So I'm just going to clamp my phone so you can see my workspace.
Hello. Hello.
Right. Thank you. Can everybody see that okay? So to make the tahini dressing, I'm going to make it as I call out the ingredients. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of tahini. The one I'm using is a Waitrose Cook's Ingredients tahini. When you first get a bottle of tahini, you'll see that a lot of oil, the oil and the sesame seeds separates and the oil comes to the top. So what you should do is just go in there with a spoon and stir it thoroughly, which I've already done. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of tahini into my jug here. That's 1 tablespoon. And 2 tablespoons. I'm a bit nervous. It's my first time doing a cookery video live, so please be kind to me. Okay. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. I already have a whole load of lemon juice already squeezed. So that's 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of water. I love this measuring spoon set because I can use both ends as well for different things. So here we go, 2 tablespoons of water.
Ranjana, while you're doing that, can I ask you a question from someone in the audience?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what non-vegan ingredients have been excluded or replaced to make the tahini dressing, if anything?
I'm not aware that in tahini there are any non-vegan ingredients. I would imagine maybe yogurt or mayonnaise is something that they might add.
Thank you.
But I've only ever known tahini to be vegan.
Maybe it's one of those that's vegan by accident.
That's right, yeah. So I will be making dishes. Well, one of my dishes does have a dairy ingredient, which I've replaced with a vegan ingredient. Then I'm going to add black pepper and salt. So just salt to taste and some black pepper. Just a little bit of black pepper. And that is your tahini dressing ready. And for the tabbouleh that I'm going to be making, I actually like the dressing to be a little bit more liquidy. So just going to add a bit more water. You can make this to your taste. And there you go. That's the dressing ready to be used in your salad of your choice. What I've done is I've just added it to a bottle, like a sauce bottle, you can see here. So it makes it easier to pour onto the salad. So if you can just show the tabbouleh recipe, please, while I gather all my ingredients. Do a switch over. Thank you.
If only we could all get together and try this.
Yeah, we could have shared it ahead of time and then people could have got the ingredients.
No, I mean get together and have you the fruits of what you're making.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'm missing the company of people. I'm dreadfully missing it to the extent that I get depressed. So anyway, so for the tabbouleh recipe, we will need 1 cup of flat leaf parsley, which is finely chopped, 1/2 cup of fine bulgur wheat. It's important to get fine bulgur wheat, and authentic tabbouleh is made of fine bulgur wheat, but we can also use the lapsi as well, which is a bit more coarser version of the bulgur wheat, and it will just take a little bit longer to soak. Instead of bulgur wheat, you can also use quinoa or couscous. And we also need 2 to 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, some salt and pepper to taste. I'm going to add 1 green chili because no Indian makes anything without green chilies. Authentic tabbouleh doesn't include chilies, so you can leave that out. 1 large tomato, which is finely chopped. I've actually used the equivalent of 1 large tomato in cherry tomatoes because I love the taste of cherry tomatoes. And 1/4 cup of mint, finely chopped, and fresh coriander, finely chopped. This isn't usually featured in an authentic tabbouleh, but I like the taste of coriander. So, and I think it really adds, the 3 green herbs combined really gives it a really nice flavor. I've got 1 medium onion. Authentic tabbouleh uses only the actual white onions, but I'm using the Bombay onions here. And we also need some olive oil, about 2 to 3 tablespoons, and I'm using a really good quality olive oil here. So to begin with, to make the tabbouleh, what we need to do is soak the tabbouleh in. So if you have 1/2 cup of tabbouleh, then you double that and add that much water. So you'd have 1 cup of hot water to soak it in, and you'd add a teaspoon or a teaspoon of lemon juice. So a little of the tanginess gets imbibed into the bulgur wheat, and some salt as well. So all your flavors can kind of infuse into the bulgur wheat. So that will take about 30 minutes to soak. So what I've done is I've prepared one earlier. And once it's soaked, you just fork it out and fluff it up. And this is what it will look like. And then it's just a case of combining all the ingredients together. So let's begin. I'm going to add the tomatoes, the onions. This is so easy. The herbs.
It's really good to hear how you've amended the recipe from the authentic version to making it the way you like it. Thank you for sharing those things.
You're welcome. So with the lemon juice, I've already added a tablespoon of lemon juice whilst I was soaking. So I'm going to start by adding 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, and then I will taste it and see how I like it. Have salt and pepper. Yeah. I like a lot of pepper in my food, so 1 teaspoon. That's 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of salt to begin with, and we can adjust that to taste. And then the tabbouleh, the bulgur wheat. And then we just go in and mix it all up. We'll just add the olive oil in as well, in a bit after I've mixed it up. You can see already the colors look amazing, right? With the red of the tomato peeking through. And it just kind of, it just screams freshness, right? This dish. And it tastes fresh as well, very fresh and very lively. And we're going to add maybe a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. I know I've taken some lemon juice on here, but it's fine. And you can adjust the quantity of olive oil to your preference. Doesn't have to be according to the recipe. There we go. I have some tasters here with me, so I'm going to ask one of them to taste it and let me know how it is. And a bit of tomato. Here we go. Lemon juice, yeah. So we're just going to add a bit more lemon juice. That last tablespoon that I reserved does need. Authentic tabbouleh also has a lot less bulgur wheat and more parsley. So I've adapted mine to my taste. Right, that's perfect, I've been told. So I'm just going to put it into a bowl. You can serve this on a bed of lettuce. And you can make it look really pretty by putting some like baby gem lettuce leaves all the way around, arranging it into like a lotus flower shape, and then pouring the tabbouleh inside it. And we're going to dress it with our tahini. So here we have, and that's it. That's tabbouleh ready. I hope you like that.
Looking delicious.
Thank you. Right, my next dish is Borek. So I'm gonna feast your eyes on the recipe meanwhile.
Ranjana, quick question about what you just made. Can we avoid mint if we don't like the taste of it?
Yes, you can.
Perfect.
I think that with any recipe, you should be able to add or subtract whatever it is that you like and you don't like.
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to eat it, right? So
exactly. Thank you.
A lot of people don't like coriander. And when we make curries, they don't add coriander in it, although we wouldn't even dream of making curries with coriander, but you don't have to add it. So that's entirely up to you. just gathering all the ingredients I need for the Borek.
Which gives me time to ask you another question.
Sure.
If using lapsi, how long should you soak it for?
I think it requires about an hour.
Okay. Thank you.
And use hot water from the kettle so that it helps it to soak quicker.
Perfect.
And generally, when you use bulgur wheat, it tells you how long on the packet as well that you should soak it for, and how much water to add. Okay, so with the Borek, we will need. Oh, where's the vegan butter? So I'm going to make the traditional Borek is a combination of feta cheese and spinach. So we're going to make an equivalent of feta cheese using plant-based ingredients. So for that, I'm going to use 100 grams of firm tofu, 500 grams in soaked weight of soaked cashews. So that's about 20 to 25 dry cashews, or a quarter cup of dry cashews. One tablespoon of nutritional yeast. We've got some lemon juice. I'm going to be using about 1 tablespoon for the vegan cheese, and the rest will be for the stuffing, and a generous pinch of salt. So where am I? Can you get me the grinder, please? Yeah. So I'm going to use this grinder, which is a Revel grinder, and they have a wet and a dry one, a dry bowl that comes with it. So I'm grinding the ingredients in here. So let's just start putting the ingredients in. Tofu. And 1 tablespoon. Do we have the tablespoon? Can you wash it for me, please? Sorry, just waiting for my daughter to wash the spoon. So this is about a tablespoon. And then what I would do is grind that in using my grinder, and it will take about 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. So rather than use that time, here's some that I've already ground. So you want to grind it so it looks like a thick paste, like this. Okay. Then we're going to mix up our stuffing. So for the stuffing, we would need 150 grams of baby spinach, which is finely chopped. So here I've sprinkled the spinach with salt, massaged it, and then squeezed out the excess moisture. So this is what I'm left with. So I'm going to add that in into my bowl. Okay. And we've got 1 small onion, which is around 70 grams, which is finely diced. I've done the same thing, sprinkled it with salt, massaged it, and squeezed out the extra moisture. And then we go through some spices. So we've got 1 teaspoon of chili flakes. And we've got half a teaspoon of a Middle Eastern spice called Ras El Hanout, or you can use, I don't know if I've pronounced that right, or you can use the Middle Eastern 7 spice, or you can use Baharat spice. The Ras El Hanout comes like this. This one's from Waitrose, and it looks like this. So it's a little bit grainy and clumpy, as you can see. It's got some solid ingredients in there as well, some whole ingredients like whole coriander and some rose leaves. So all I've done is just ground that to a fine powder in a grinder. And we use 1 clove of garlic crushed. Okay. Doesn't really need a lot of garlic because you'll be able to taste the garlic, surprisingly, even though it's not a lot. And we'll add the rest of the lemon juice. So that's about another teaspoon, another tablespoon. Thank you. I've got my QA team here. And then we're going to add the feta, or the vegan feta equivalent. Sorry.
Ranjana, can you share what you're using as the vegan feta equivalent?
I just showed how to make it.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, ignore that.
It was the tofu, the cashews, the nutritional yeast. The nutritional yeast is, can you pass me that one so I can show them what it is? Yeah, this is the nutritional yeast.
Thank you. Very helpful. There's a question from the audience. Sorry, Ranjana. Question from the audience. How did you get into Middle Eastern cooking?
Oh, I got into Middle Eastern cooking through Navnat Vanik Association. This is my first time making a Middle Eastern dish. So, yeah. I've always had it in restaurants or, you know, takeaways and things like that, but I've not made it myself. So this is my first time. It's an experiment. I'm experimenting like everybody else, I guess. I don't know. And then you just mix it all together. How am I doing for time, by the way?
Nearly 5 minutes.
Okay, I better hurry up then. So I'm going to add some pepper and some salt to taste. Sorry? Yeah. So there's my filling made. I'm going to just get my daughter to taste this. Yeah, great. So she's passed it. Let's move all these out of the way. I'm just going to clear up my workspace to make space for rolling it out. Rolling out the pastry. you. So make sure your surface is nice and clean and dry. Has to be very dry. I'll go on. Oops. There we go. And I'm going to use this phyllo pastry. So to assemble the actual boreks, you'll need phyllo pastry and some melted vegan butter, which I've got here. Yeah, I do need that.
Ranjana, quick question.
Yeah.
How did you develop these dishes? Did you do a course or self-taught?
Well, I'd say I just looked at YouTube and internet, and I just took bits of what I thought I liked and created my own things. So, for example, the cheese, I don't know if I've seen anything like that. I'm sure lots of people do similar things, but I haven't seen it. And I just read that this is how you make cheese in cheese making, like vegan cheese making courses. So I just added, instead of just using cashews, I also blended in tofu as well. Yeah, to give it like the feta consistency.
So basically you were creative.
Yeah, I've got a bit creative with it. So I'm brushing vegan butter onto the sheet, so it just kind of softens the sheet a little bit without making it break. If you softened it with water, then it would probably break. So this makes it a bit more supple, so when we roll it, it doesn't crack as much. And it also makes it quite crispy as well. So you could make 2 or 3 boreks out of this mixture. So I'm going to divide it into 3 and make about 3. So this is my rough way of dividing the mixtures. Draw a Y. I need a smaller one, don't I? Is it this one? Right. Just place little dollops along the long edge, sorry, of the sheet, like so.
While you're doing that, there's a question, which is, can we use vegetable oil instead of vegan butter?
Yes, you can. Oh yeah, and instead of these phyllo sheets that I've got, you can also use spring roll pastry. There we go. I've left some space at either end here so that I can use that to fold. So just fold over and try and smush it into like a sausage or a cigar shape, but don't press too hard because you want the filling to be maneuverable. Otherwise, it will just it will crack when you do the rolling, when you spiral it. So then you just take one end and roll it inwards. Like so. And then place it in your pastry case, which has been pre-lined with parchment paper. So I know this is not the right size, but it will help to, you can, if you wanted, add another layer on around this, but I want to do small mini ones. So you do that and then you bake that, you do that for all 3. And then you brush the borek with more butter.
Ranjana, will it expand much when you cook it?
I'll show you how it looks when I cook it.
Yeah, fair enough.
It expands a little bit. Just a little bit.
So it's good
and
for it to
sprinkle
not be
with
too
some
snug. Sorry.
Yeah. And so then you sprinkle it with either nigella seeds or sesame seeds. So I've used a mixture of black and white sesame seeds. And then you would place them in the oven at 180 degrees centigrade for 15 to 20 minutes. And this is what they look like when they've been cooked. So as you can see here, I stuffed this one I packed it too much and packed it too tight. So this one's sort of cracked a little, but it's still edible and it's still going to be really tasty. And you've got the parchment paper there to stop it from sticking to your the bottom of your case. And this is what your Borek looks like when it's cooked. There we go. And it is really tasty. It actually gets even more tastier when it's colder and at room temperature. Yeah. So if anybody has any questions, I can take some questions now if I've got time.
Yeah, there's a question that says, what do you eat it with?
What do I eat it with? You would eat it with some tabbouleh and maybe some sort of condiment such as hummus or baba ganoush that you'll be seeing later on, and tzatziki,
and
or even tomato ketchup.
Yeah. And can you put them in the air fryer instead of?
I don't have an air fryer, so I haven't been able to try that, but I see no reason why you can't.
Yeah. All right. That's the last question so far. Thank you very much. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, one more question. Sorry, quick question.
Yeah.
Which vegan butter did you use?
There's the vegan block that you can get from Waitrose or Sainsbury's. It's called vegan block.
Okay.
It's in a dark grey wrapper.
Perfect. Well, lots of comments on the chat saying that it looks delicious and excellent presentation and thank you and all those things. So well done.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you to the Navnat Manik Association. If there are any questions, you can always, email in, and I'm sure the association will forward any questions to me if there are any.
Hello. Sorry, my mobile is playing up. Now the next one will be Dylan Dodia and Liam Dodia. Dylan has been vegan for 4 years and he enjoys cooking and likes to entertain and experiment new dishes. His favorite cuisine is to cook Oriental. Liam has been vegan for 3.5 years. He is a helper. He enjoys baking cakes, biscuits, and cookies. Both boys cook regularly. In fact, during lockdown, they have made rotli naan as well, rolling it out as well. So welcome to Dylan and Liam.
Hello, Padai. My name is Dylan, and it's my tour with brothers. And today we're going to be cooking 3 simple, delicious dips. So first we're going to make baba ganoush, then we're going to make tzatziki, and then hummus. So the first thing, pass me the tray. So the first thing is the baba ganoush, and that is an aubergine dip. Wait. So the first thing we're going to make is baba ganoush, and this is an aubergine dip. So the first thing we want to do is get your aubergine, cut the top off, and then just cut it in half, as I've done already. Next, we're going to slice it in half all the way through, but all the way through, but to the all the way to the skin, but without cutting through the skin. And this will just help it cook faster. So just like this. And then we're going to slash on. Let's go on top. So let's go on top, just diagonal lines. And this also helps it cook. And this is just thin lines on top. So now we're going to just put oil on the baking tray, and we've got foil. We can also use baking paper, which is more environmentally friendly. Yeah. And just pour this on the tray. And we can also just put a little bit on the aubergine itself. The oil will help make it cook properly and will help the heat get inside the aubergine to help it cook quicker as well. And then we're going to place it face down on the foil, as Dylan will show you. And we're going to put it in the oven. So we're going to put it in the oven for 180 degrees Celsius on fan. And it's going to be in it for 20 to 30 minutes. We're going to flip it halfway through. So, so once the aubergine is cooked, we're going to blend it with all the other ingredients. Oh wow, that was quick. I know. So here's what we made earlier. So I'm just going to scoop the aubergine off the tray and onto my chopping board. I'm going to blend the rest of the ingredients together. While you blend that, I'm going to peel the aubergine. I'm going to peel this skin off the aubergine. It's quite hot actually, so it might take a little while. So I'm going to add our 3 cloves of garlic. Our 3 tablespoons of tahini. And I'm going to add juice from 1 lemon. I'm going to grab a spoon quickly. Is it hot? It's really hot. So in our recipe, we will have it says 3 aubergines. So we pre-cooked and blended 2.5 already, and I'm just doing the other one now. And you'll just blend this with all the ingredients names shown. And then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of olive oil, half a teaspoon of chutney, and some salt to taste. We use pink salt because it's healthier.
And just for clarification, chutney is chili powder, right?
Yeah, red chili powder we used.
Okay.
Right, so then we're going to add the aubergine to the blender. And then while it blends out, I'll go and get the pre-blended aubergine. So leave just pulsing it. So just we don't want it blended completely. We want it to be a little bit thick, and it gives a nice texture. So here's some we pulsed earlier, and we're just going to mix it together. We don't need the skin of the aubergines. You can spin that. Gonna empty all of the mixed mixture together. So as mentioned earlier, I've been vegan for over 4 years, and It's been amazing. I feel fitter, healthier, and I don't notice it now because I've got used to it. But in restaurants, there's so much variety. There's vegan options for everything. There's vegan eggs. There's vegan meats. For example, like for lunch we had burgers, and I had a vegan beef burger and a vegan chicken burger, and they were really nice. Those are from Aldi, so it doesn't have to be expensive either. So now you finish scooping it out. So the other thing that we like to add is our secret ingredient, and that is liquid smoke. This is from the company Stubbs, and this just gives it, as you say, a smoky taste, and it makes the ganoush even nicer. So I'm going to put about two teaspoons worth. My big 2 teaspoons there. So now I'm mixing it all together. It's great, a nice creamy mixture. So on top, we're going to pour a dash of olive oil and some fresh parsley, which we've got here.
When you have a minute, there's 2 questions. Dylan, Leon, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. One is, what is vegan egg? And the other one is, what made you go vegan?
Okay. Vegan egg can be made out of anything. We primarily soak flax seeds, and that gives it a nice eggy texture. And but you can also buy powdered egg, which you can mix with water in shops and stuff. I went vegan because my mum went vegan first, and then Dylan went vegan. So I just switched vegan because it was easier. And at the time, I didn't know what was happening to the animals, but now I've realised. And I went vegan because I was eating eggs one day, and I thought, am I eating chicken babies? And that kind of scared me into stopping eating eggs, dairy, etc. And then once I did a bit of research, I realised how cool the industries are. And yeah, from then on, I haven't thought any doubts about being vegan.
One more. What was the smoky sauce that you added before the olive oil?
So we've added liquid smoke, which is by Stubbs. Can you see that?
Yeah,
So
that's
this is
perfect.
the one that we use.
And where did you get it from?
You just got it. You can get it anywhere, to be honest.
Yeah, supermarkets.
Well, any supermarkets. And it's so nice. So I'm just going to put a dash of olive oil on top. And then sprinkle the parsley on top as well. So here we have some baba ganoush, freshly made. So next we're going to move on to the tzatziki. So tzatziki is a yogurt kind of dish. So here we use vegan yogurt instead. So it's a yogurt and cucumber dish. I shall take this. So we're using Alpro Greek yogurt, and this is the Greek one is just a thicker version of the normal yogurt, and it creates a nice thicker texture, which is better for the.
We have another question. Being vegan, does it make you tired in your sports activity, or do you have a lack of energy?
So it's actually the opposite. So I feel a lot more energetic. I feel like well, I perform a lot better, and I just feel more energetic. And so I mean, Liam feels the same.
Yeah, I feel the same. I actually feel more awake rather than tired, and it helps to get through the day a lot better. Because before I used to be sleeping in class, and now I'm awake all the time, and I feel like I learn better as well.
So next thing, so the tzatziki, we've got cucumber here, we've cut it in half. Say half for a salad or something, and just cut the end off. And then we're going to grate it. Not grate it yet. We're going to just cut it in half long ways, and we're going to scoop out the inside because that's basically liquid, and we want to have a nice thick sauce.
While Dylan's doing that, I'm gonna mix the rest of the ingredients together in a bowl.
Another question is, because you are teenagers, do you take supplements?
We feel like we don't need to, but we do take omega. Omega-3 because that can be low in some vegans, but it just depends on your diet really, what you eat, and if you're healthy, you only take supplements. So I'm just scooping out the middle part of the cucumber, and Liam just weighing the garlic. So in basically we need 1 small garlic clove and 2 small garlic cloves, sorry, but we're just doing half recipe today.
So another question. They say you should take B12. How do you get that in your diet?
B12 originally comes from soil, so organic produce can also is high in B12. In animals, they usually inject them with it. So in animals, they usually inject them with it. So it's artificial in some way. But if you obviously have a lot of organic foods, then B12, you won't need to take any supplements for it.
And the same question about vitamin D and calcium. How do you manage it is the question.
So we just eat from veg, ones that I don't know off the top of my head, but ones that high calcium, and that's fine because a lot of calcium that you get like from milk, say that's high calcium. That's second-hand calcium, so it's not as effective in the body.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now I'm going to add the yogurt. I'm going to add half because we're only doing half the recipe. But if you were to do the full recipe, you will add the whole pot.
So I like cooking Oriental food. So dishes like Chinese dishes, Thai dishes. So like Singapore noodles, green Thai curry, or even like Indian dishes as well, little pum. So Greek dishes we don't usually. So like tzatziki I haven't made before. Hummus though, I love making hummus, which I'll talk about later. And that's our last dish.
But it's not always just Indian and Oriental. Sometimes we make homemade pizza, which we allow the dough to rise as well, and we make everything from home.
From scratch, from scratch. And also on the pizza, then we add hummus instead of cheese, which is really nice. I prefer hummus on pizza than cheese, especially homemade hummus that I'll be teaching you next.
Okay, so I've now mixed the rest of the ingredients. So Dylan's now gonna strain the the grated cucumber and is going to bring it into a bowl. So I've just got a normal cheesecloth here, used usually to make cheese, but it works just as well. So I'm just going to place all the cucumber in the centre of the cloth and just squeeze it out. And we want to get the liquid out so then it's a nice thick sauce instead of having a liquid in it. Then once Dylan's finished draining that, we're just going to mix the cucumber into the yogurt and it will be done. Yes. Here you go, Dylan. Thank you. Now I'm going to add the cucumber in. Try not to get it everywhere. That would be good. And now I'm going to mix it. So on top, we're going to garnish it with dill. We've got dill we can get from any supermarket. I've got some here. And we can also use mint. So if you don't like mint or if you don't like dill, you can use either one. I'm using both in this recipe, but you don't need to. So I've almost finished mixing it. So this is it, ungarnished, if that's a word. So I'm just going to do this. Let's chop it. I can smell the mint, it's so nice. Okay. Right. That is the tzatziki finished.
Looking lovely.
So last we're going to make my favourite recipe, hummus. So hummus is something that I make every few weeks. I have it numerous things. I have it on its own. I have it with breadsticks. I have it in a sandwich. My dad loves it with green chutney and vegan ham. The company called as a really nice vegan ham. He'll just hit up to work. On pizza, as I said earlier, it is so nice. I had at I think it's Pizza Express, and they had like a special 1 month vegan pizza with hummus on it, and since then I always put on my pizza when I make it at home.
Okay, so we're going to start off with our tin of chickpeas. You can get tin of chickpeas from anywhere. It's a common ingredient in foods. This one's from Morrison's, but you can get it from Costco, get it from anywhere, any shop. So I'm gonna strain half the water that is in here, which is called aquafaba, and you can use this to make eggs as well. And you can use it in other cakes.
So we keep half the water just to produce nice thick consistency without it being piecey. So next we're going to just blend all the rest of the ingredients in. So we have 1 lemon's worth of juice, That was not lemon, that was virgin oil. So 5 tablespoons of virgin olive oil. 1 lemon's worth of juice. We've got 3 tablespoons of tahini, which we also use in the baba ganoush. Then we're going to add half a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add 1 small garlic clove. And we're going to add some red chili powder. Not red chili powder, paprika. And paprika gives it that nice kind of spice taste to it. Thank you. Can't forget that. It's going to go everywhere. So I've just blended all of the ingredients together, and I'm going to take it all out. You got the spoon. It is stuck. So that's basically the hummus done. How quick was that? That was so easy. And I'm just gonna lay it out now. So Dylan's gonna lay it out. It's so quick and easy. You don't need to have 5 double ones. It's even cheaper to make it. Allow me. So on top, we're gonna have a dash of olive oil again. And we'll sprinkle some more paprika on top. And here we have our fresh homemade hummus.
Wonderful. It's tricky, but it's good. We got a good look.
Right, so together we've kind of made our dinner. So we have the hummus, baba ganoush, tzatziki, some salad with vegan feta, which is really nice. This is from Life, which is a very widely known vegan brand.
For cheese especially.
For cheese. We have some pita bread in carved in small pieces, and we got falafel, which you can have in the falafel wrap. So now we're going to try some. Dylan, would you like to try a bit of the baba ganoush for us? Yeah. That's really nice. Okay. I'm going to try the hummus now. That's good. That's good.
Wow. Well done. Well done, Dylan and Liam. Very nice. Very, very nicely done. And so many comments on you. You can look at it. Lovely. Now, next one.
Yes, Navna, and thank you for letting us participate in this. It was really fun.
Okay. Next one is Kalpana Ben and Dinesh Bhai Kotecha. Kalpana Ben and Dinesh Bhai. They have been vegan for 3 years. Before they were vegetarian, almost vegan. She cooks fairly bit of vegetarian for personal, vegan for personal dining and home entertaining. She likes all the cuisine and likes to experiment. Lots of fusion and invent her own. She likes Mexican and that is her favorite. But today she is going to do Eastern, Middle Eastern. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you to the Navnat Vanik community for inviting us, and to all the moderators and hosts for hosting this event. We're going to show you 4 dishes, so it's quite a lot to pack in, but we've timed it and it should all work. So we're going to do it Blue Peter style. So we're going to show you what we're doing, but we're going to have lots of pre-prepared stages. And what we're trying to show here is that, you know, being vegan can be very wholesome, very natural, but still very, very tasty food. And so almost all the things that we're going to show you today here are, although they're our own creations, because we like to fiddle with recipes, they're actually mostly naturally vegan. I'll tell you where we've made a substitution, but they're mostly naturally vegan. The first dish we're going to show you today is citrus glazed carrots with a pistachio, spicy pistachio topping. So, in terms of the way we'll do this, as I said, is we're going to show you the ingredients, we're going to show you what we do with them, and then we're going to show you the prepared stages. So for this one, we're starting off with a humble carrot. And the first time that we made this dish, what we'll be doing is, by the way, we'll be tilting from when we show ourselves, which hopefully is not too much, towards the food as we do it. So when I first made this dish, I was absolutely amazed at how tasty it was. And it's one of the ones that I've virtually not adapted because it was so good as it was. So we're going to take the carrots. We're going to make a citrus blend that we're going to dress the carrots with. And then we've got pistachios here. So, oops.
That's so tight.
That's fine. Yeah. So we've got the pistachios here, which we've just blended into a fine powder. So nice and fine pistachios there. And the spices that we're using in here are, if I can bring this out ahead here, we've got black pepper, fenugreek seeds, cinnamon, nutmeg. We don't use that much nutmeg, but you know, you just grate a pinch in. But we'll show you what the nutmeg looks like there. A few buds of clove and ginger powder. Now, you can obviously just adjust the spices to your liking. We find that with most of the Greek cuisine, it's very easy to adapt to your taste. You'll find that we haven't used lots of green chilies and things like that everywhere as Indians typically would add, but you could easily add that in. Okay, so the first step would be to finely grate the carrots. Now, you can do the carrots however you want, okay? So you can julienne them, you can cut them into pieces, you can whiz them in the blender. But what's quite nice is to grate it so that you get fine ribbons. So we used a potato peeler to grate these. And you can use the mandolin as well. And you can use the mandolin, so you know, however you like. And the beauty of this is, presentationally, you can just take a bunch of these and that will look very nice on a platter. And we'll show you everything on a platter at the end. Now, what Kalpana is going to do is she's going to toast the pistachios, and then she's going to add the spice mix. So this is the spice mix that I just showed you, but it's been whizzed and ground down in the mill. Meanwhile, what I did was I've squeezed half a lemon, half an orange, a tablespoon of olive oil, a pinch of salt, and agave syrup. This is our agave syrup. That's about a teaspoon, but you know, it depends if you like it. The agave syrup gives it the glaze. Now this is one ingredient where normally you'd use honey, but I'm using agave syrup, so that makes it vegan. You mix all of that in, and basically, and now I'm going to.
My pistachio is looking to get toasted now, so after this, and what I'm going to do is add the spices which have been ground. So you can either use one of those, what do you call it, mortar pestos?
Yeah, mortar and pestle, or a food mill grinder,
yeah,
however you like it. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this, sprinkle it through. Now, typically what you would do is you'd prepare this early. If you're preparing a Middle Eastern feast, you would get this ready ahead of time. I'm going to mix that right in. And so, you know, the longer you let this soak, the kind of better the effect is. Have you added your spices in?
Yes, I've added the spices in, and
Okay.
I can
So,
smell coming from here as well.
once she has toasted this, it's going to be ready to present. And there are two ways I like to do the meze platter. One is a big platter, and you just bung all the food in. You can make it look presentable, but actually just putting it all in, and people can help themselves. Today we're going to show you a slightly more refined version where we're going to have little dishes prepared. So I'm going to take a little bunch of these carrots. As I said, normally you would soak this for maybe at least half an hour or so. And I'm going to take a few more here.
Looks like it's slightly dark in color, so that's probably enough toasting. I'll switch this off.
Okay. Now I'm going to take a bunch of this, and then I'm just going to shake that over. So in this dish, if you want it to be spicy, you can add chili, you can add more pepper, or you can add the chili flakes when you're grinding it. And that actually
This one, it's a home healthy raw carrot salad, but if you preferred the carrot to be cooked, that also works as well. So once you've done the carrot strips,
so you can take these strips here and you can put them in the oven. So if you're making a meze platter where you're cooking things in the oven, if you prefer the carrot cooked, you can put that in the oven and then do the same. It'll be a little bit firmer, so your presentation will be a little bit different, but still beautiful. Okay, that is the carrot dish. Do you want to put that on? Yeah. Okay. So the next dish we're going to show you is our patatas haras. This is a variation actually on a recipe that I cook much more often, which is the patatas bravas Spanish style, but they kind of work in a similar way, and I've adjusted the spices to be more Greek. One thing I'm not using in this, when I show you the herbs that we're putting on, is I'm not using the mint with this. So quite often the patatas haras would be dressed with mint. We're going to use coriander parsley to do that. Okay, we're just clearing up the ingredients from the previous dish, and do that. And again, this is loopy to start, so we should show you the different stages. Okay, so if you think of a meze platter, we're already seeing some of the dishes from the others that you could have on a meze platter. But what's actually quite nice in this type of food is just to have a lot of different vegetables with different flavorings that bring out the flavor of the vegetables. And of course, we're following all the rules here. We're eating lots of different colors, and we're getting a mix of protein-based items and legumes, and also some obviously things like potatoes giving us the carbs. So batatas haras, batatas almost sounds Indian, doesn't it? Can be done in different ways in terms of how thick or thin you slice the potatoes. We like to do it fine. It's quite nice from a when you're eating it, but also it makes it easier to cook. So if I show you here, these are the potatoes, and this is how fine we've sort of decided to make them. Against my hand, you can see they're quite mini cubes, and I've seen it done with slightly bigger size. So what you do with the potatoes is you dress them in olive oil and a little bit of salt, not much more than that, and spread them on a platter, just one layer deep. So you don't want them bunching up. Have plenty of space around it, and you oven bake those middle of the oven, 200 degrees for between 20 and 30 minutes. Check to see that they're properly cooked and starting to go brown, but don't obviously let them overcook. They're going to be finished on the pan. Now, this before you do that, this is the potatoes as we made them this morning, and you can see they're actually very, very tasty even now, with just a little bit of oil and salt on them, a bit like chips, oven baked chips. So what we're going to do then is we're going to dress them. So what I've got here is I've got garlic, chili powder, paprika, cumin and coriander, and black pepper. So those are the spices that we're going to cook. And actually, you're going to use these, aren't you? Yeah. So what Kalpana is going to do is she's going to cook the garlic first. So you need a spoonful of olive oil.
Dinesh and Kalpana, there's a quick question from the audience. Sure. With the potatoes, is it okay to cook them in the air fryer instead of the oven?
I'm sure it'll be fine. I've seen other people do similar dishes in the air fryer. We don't have one as yet.
We think of getting one, so we might get, yeah.
Yes, I think it'll be absolutely fine. This dish would work very well with that. So she's going to fry the garlic, flash fry it. The trick with garlic is, if you like a very garlicky flavor, cook the garlic less. If you don't like that taste of raw garlic, cook the garlic on a lower heat for a bit longer. Once the garlic is done, very, very simple dish. Once the garlic is done, she's going to throw all the spices in and mix that through. Yeah, and you're going to get a mix like that with the spices all nicely frying. They just need to sizzle a little bit, and then when you're ready, you're going to throw in. Do you want to do that?
Potatoes, yeah.
You're going to throw in the potatoes, and I'm going to quickly get my
the potatoes in the fried spices and garlic.
The potatoes only had a pinch of lemon on them, salt on them. So on top of that, she'll need to add a little bit of salt still.
Seeing this pink Himalayan salt.
If you've never cooked with pink Himalayan salt, we'd really recommend it. It's got a lovely flavor, and it's healthier for you than normal table salt. Okay. So I'm just going to add on a little bit of salt, lemon. I find
coriander at the end.
Yeah. And once it's done, we've literally taken it off the heat now, and Kalpana's just sprinkling in this. You would normally do parsley. We've got a mix of parsley and coriander, and that just mixes in. Now, an alternative way would have been to actually do the potatoes and just put the parsley as a garnish on top. So I'm going to position these. So what we're doing, as you can see, is we would serve these as individual platters where each person will get their own potatoes. And that makes sense because you don't want to share these with anybody, right? You want to eat them all yourself. Okay, so that's our platter of potatoes. Take that away.
Yep.
And okay, so the next dish that we're going to do, we just need a few minutes to just tidy up here, is going to be our chickpeas. So we're going to make spicy chickpeas. And the thing with this dish is it's very simple, very quick to do. And a lot of the food that we've shown you here today, it's actually works quite well to prepare it all together. So although each dish can take 30-40 minutes to prepare from scratch, actually you combine it. So you can put it in the oven together, you can do some dressing whilst the other bit is working in the marinade. So it's quite an easy sort of feast to prepare. The thing with the chickpeas is, so if you want to put up the recipe at this point, the thing with the chickpeas is you can also use almost any other beans. So we do a version of this with spicy beans for our Mexican kind of food, and obviously Gujaratis are very familiar with vatana and stuff like that, where you cook peas in an oven bake.
One more question, if it's okay.
Yeah,
what proportion of parsley to coriander?
So you can put just parsley or just coriander. We kind of like the flavor of the mix, so we just did half and half in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm absolutely happy to take questions as they come. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're using canned chickpeas. I don't want to do any advertising for any brands, but there you go. So we're going to use canned chickpeas. If you're using fresh chickpeas, you need to soak them overnight and then cook them in the pressure cooker fully. This dish is going to go into the oven and it's going to come out quite dry, and so you need it to be fully cooked to start. Once it's fully cooked, you want to drain the chickpeas and you want them dry. If they're too wet, they'll go soggy and they won't go crispy as required in the oven. So this is how you have them, very dry. And this, not yet. So, and the spice mix that we're going to use now, with the other ones we dry milled the spices, but because this is going to be a wet marinade, we're going to do it all together in a blender, which will give us a fine paste. And so the spices we've got here, they've all kind of merged a bit, so I'm going to take this off so that you can see it a little bit better. So I've got, okay, I've got garlic, pink salt, I can't see. Ginger, garlic, ginger, pink salt, cumin seeds, and chili powder. To that, I'm going to add in lemon juice and tomato paste, a spoonful of olive oil, and then just enough water to give me the blend that I want. So if you can open that for me. If I was doing this in my kitchen, then in between the dishes, I'd be washing my hands. So I'm just doing this with catering gloves. Okay, so just throw that into the chickpeas. Oh yeah, sorry. So once it's blended, it's like that. Yeah. And you know, again, you can adjust this. I prefer it a little bit more garlic than that, so I would add more garlic to it. And
That's added into the chickpeas.
okay, what I'm going to do, just because I hate waste, my wife knows this, I really do not like to waste any of that mix. So I'm going to take a few chickpeas and I'm going to swirl them around in there. And then hopefully I've got pretty much all of it there. No, sorry, a bit messy for you. Okay, and then now this is the other thing. I'm one of these chefs that likes to use my hands. So you can spoon mix it, you can use 2 forks. If you're not using your hands, a slightly bigger bowl and 2 forks is a very good way to get this mixed in. So I'm going to mix that in. And if I, for example, decided that I wanted that to be a slightly redderish color, because these look quite nice if they're red, you can also throw in paprika. That's not in our original recipe, I think, but this is what the chickpeas looks like. Now, after you've done that, you want to cover it and you want to leave it either out if it's cool enough, but preferably in the fridge. And you want to marinate it for at least half an hour. I say at least. We marinated it overnight, and it does take time for it to absorb the flavors and infuse in there. So what I'd say is, quite often with the marinade foods, I would do them first, and once I've got them ready, then I can leave them to marinate whilst I do the other dishes. Okay, this then is what your chickpeas look like once they've been oven done. And if I take a couple of these, and if I give these to Kalpana, and they you can just eat these anytime. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this, I need some herbs, is I'm just going to pile these like the potatoes. Each of these things that I'm showing is really a what do you call it? It's like a foundation. So this is a base recipe, and based on this, you can then do lots of different things with it in terms of the dressing, in terms of the way you serve it. I can't. Yeah. What works really nice on top of this actually is if you use a dried mix of oregano and basil and things like that. Okay, and that is our third dish. And how we're doing for time?
They all look so vibrant and lovely.
If you look at the foods, apart from the fact that everything's made with fresh spices, we haven't used any ready ingredients so far, and it's all sort of very lightly cooked, not overdone. You're really bringing out the natural goodness of the dishes that you're doing. Okay, so best to last, we're just going to take 1 minute to get ready for the zucchini. So if you can put that recipe up now.
A quick question. How long did it take for the chickpeas to dry?
Oh, very good question. We had it in a colander, and I left it with a little bowl underneath, and I think it was probably about 25-30 minutes. You know, you are adding a wet sauce to it, so if there's a little bit of moisture, it's fine. But if you take them straight out of the can and add the marinade, you'll find they'll go soggy.
Thank you.
Okay, so what I'm gonna show you next is courgettes, zucchini. By the way, here's another thing I mentioned about the chickpeas and how we do it with mixed beans or fava beans. Likewise with the other dishes, you know, the pistachio spice mix we put on the carrot. would go with almost any vegetable. It's that orangey flavor with the pistachio really works with almost any vegetable. We're doing this with zucchini, and actually this recipe works extremely well with grilled aubergines, because we're showing this with on a platter with baba ganoush. We didn't want to use the aubergines, and this is a lovely dish to be serving as slightly different from the sort of potatoey one. Okay, so what we're going to do here is you can use either a big aubergine like that, or you can use the baby aubergines, and in either case you want to get the I said aubergines, didn't I? I mean zucchini. So you want to get the courgettes to be about that thin. If they're much thinner than that, they'll break up. And if they're much thicker than that, it'll take a little bit longer to cook, and you won't get all the flavors all the way through. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that, and the initial thing is you're going to just brush these courgettes with a little bit of oil, and then you're just going to grill them on one side and then the other. Now, you can do this 2 or 3 different ways. You can grill them on this grill pan that we've got. Well, not our one, obviously, on your own one. Or you can put them under the grill if you've got a grill function in your oven. Or you can just oven bake them. Obviously, the timing will vary. If you're grilling them like this, it'll take maybe a minute or so on each side. And you want to get the char grilled lines on them, and you want to see that they're fully cooked. So Cotton is just putting them in now, and we're just going to do a few examples. Now, if you're doing a bigger one, then you cut it into 2 or 3 pieces, and then you can slice it thin like this. So that's kind of how we do it. So again, all you're doing, very simple food. You're just going to grill these together, and you're going to just get the flavor of the zucchini coming through. The aroma starts to come through as you cook it. What we're going to do is, on top of that, we're going to sprinkle our spice mix. So you're kind of getting used to the way we do the Greek food. And you can buy, ready-made za'atar and forget now the other ones, baraka and sumac and so on. But it's actually quite nice to prepare your own mix. So this one has got a very, very different sort of flavor of spices here. So we've got fennel seeds, cumin seeds, ground coriander, black pepper, and chili flakes. And we've taken that, and that has been blended into, it's been dry milled together. And so you get this. Now, if you look at that, it's fine, but it's slightly coarse. It's not, I haven't gone for the very fine powder look there, because when we sprinkle this on, we just want it to kind of look nice. So I'm going to give Cotton a minute to just get these browned up.
They take a few minutes actually. They take more than a minute to cook thoroughly. What you can do is, if you wanted it to make sure it cooks properly and evenly, just put the lid on, and after a while you'll see the courgettes will start wetting a little bit from the other side. So you'll see droplets of kind of water pop out from the top of the courgette. So that way it shows you that it's cooking all the way through, and then you flip it over and cook the other side.
Yeah. She'll show us that as it prepares in a minute. So, as I said, this was definitely a blue feature demonstration. So here are the courgettes we grilled just before we started the demonstration. So you can see this is the kind of effect that you want. And then very simply, you're going to sprinkle that spice mix over it. So because I made the spice mix sufficient for the quantity in the recipe, but we've actually got a little bit less than that. They look a little bit overspiced there. So I'm just going to take off a little bit of the excess spice and let it go onto the pan. You can actually do this and mix it in a little bit. I tend to just sprinkle it on top, so both is fine. Okay, now that I've got the courgettes with the spices, we also like to put herbs on this. So the herbs that we're using here are, but you know, you can use a ready herb mix, a pizza herb mix, so on. We're using oregano, thyme, rosemary, and we've also sprinkled in there some sesame seeds. So I'm going to take that, and having learned from the previous one, I'm going to put huge amounts in. So I'm going to put a little bit of that in there. And I'm now going to plate this up. What's quite nice, but I haven't got it ready here, so I won't, is after you've done this, it's actually quite nice to drizzle a little bit of something on top of this. I would probably do something like a sriracha sauce, but that's not very Greek. But if you've got these presented like this, and then you've got the sauce on top, it looks good. You can show what those look like so far. I'm going to just take this, plate it up.
Let me just show you. You can see the kind of pan that we use. It's got this striation, so it's like a grill pan, and so it gives a nice grill effect on top of the courgettes.
Move your hand to move your sideways. Okay, so what I'm now going to show you, we've made 4 dishes. We didn't make the obviously in the demonstration we didn't make the rest of it. We've got shop bought hummus here, but we've made the dip ourselves. We've used Oatly creme fraiche, and so I need to bring that down. So we've used Oatly creme fraiche, and we've put parsley in there, salt and pepper. We've just taken shop bought hummus, and we've just added some paprika and things on top. The baba ganoush we made last night ourselves, but our recipe was a quick and simple one for demonstration, not as good as the one that you saw earlier. And then you can see we've got the 4 dishes. So this is designed to be a full platter for one person or 2 people.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Okay, I don't know how we're doing for time, but that's
Yeah, please.
our demonstration.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dinesh Bhai and Kalpana Ben. Lovely. It was delicious, and we would like to come and have it.
You're most welcome next time it's possible.
Okay. Now it's Asha Ben Mehta. Asha Ben Mehta is Assistant Treasurer in Navnath Vanik Bhagini Samaj. She has been vegan for 3 years. The reason she decided to be vegan is to avoid cruelty toward animals. Additionally, she is diabetic and have attended talks regarding benefits of plant-based diet to control diabetes. She enjoys cooking and cooks regularly for her family. She loves cuisines and likes to try cooking. But now, today, she is going to make a sweet dish. It's Asha Ben Mehta.
Jai Jinendra, Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you, Navnath Badil Mandar, to giving us the opportunity to show our cuisines. Okay, today I'm going to cook Middle Eastern salted caramel date cake. And this cake is naturally sweetened and bursting with moisture and dripping with vegan salted caramel sauce. This date cake is the perfect baked good to bring to a potluck or even enjoy at home throughout the week as a guilt-free dessert. So this is more dates and brown coconut sugar. So I know I can't eat much, but I'm baking today this cake. Okay, so I'm going to start because we don't have much time. So I'm not going to read the ingredients because you got ingredients and recipe, everything on your screen. So I'm going to start mixing a wet ingredients in the mixture. And what I'm going to do first, going to put almond milk. I'm going to pour it in the mixture. Then it's going to go dates. What I'm going to do, I gave you recipe for 16 dates and everything, but I'm going to use it half a recipe. So I'm taking, instead of 16 dates, 8 and everything half. So you can see my quantity is less because it's otherwise it's too big cake and we are 3 of us at home and I don't know when I'm going to eat and I'm not allowed to eat anyway. So, and I'm going to add mashed banana. Brown sugar, sorry, coconut sugar. Can you see coconut sugar? Melted coconut oil. And a few drops of vanilla extract. I'm going to blend this in the blender. Bear with me. It might be a little bit noisy. So it's nearly ready. This should be really smooth and runny. And it looks like a caramel sauce. So you can see it's all sticky and really runny. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to mix the dry ingredients. I'm going to put the flour in my bowl. Cinnamon powder, little bit pinch of. Pinch of sea salt. I will do baking powder. Because I'm using plain flour, so I'm going to use baking powder and baking soda as well. So it helps to rise the cake. I'm going to mix these ingredients together. I haven't forgot anything. No, it's all done. Gently mix these dry ingredients. Yeah, you can see the now I'm going to add this caramel sauce inside with the dry ingredients. It tastes really coconutty because it's coconut oil, coconut sugar, so I can smell. I'm not going to take that long. My other cake is ready as well to show you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mix everything together, put this in the oven, and then I'll show you the caramel sauce, how to make it. Okay, I'm going to fold gently this with the dry ingredients. Can you see the consistency? Yeah.
Asha, I'm tempted to say that, you said there's only 3 of you and you're not allowed to have this anyway. I'll come and collect the one you're making when it's done.
No, anytime. So you can come home, we can have a high tea.
Once we come out of tier 5, yes.
Now you can see, no rain today, so you can sit in the garden. Now last ingredients I'm going to add in here is chopped walnut. And fold it gently with the mixture. Now what I'm going to do, in the baking tray, I'm going to with vegan butter. I'm going to spread the butter in the tray. And I'm going to pour this mixer into the baking. 1 minute, it's not mixed properly. Let me fold it properly. Okay, so we'll mix. So I'm going to pour it in the tray, my baking tray. So it's ready to go in the oven. So I'm going to spread evenly all over. I'm going to put this in the oven. It's already my oven is preheated on 350 Fahrenheit and 180 centigrade. So I'm going to put this in the oven and I'll show you caramel sauce. Okay, for caramel sauce, you need cream coconut milk. that you will get it. It's a tin cream coconut. So I'm taking half a tin coconut milk. Coconut sugar. And vanilla essence. 1 drop. Will be fine. And you can see this, I'm going to cook it on a high heat for say 5 minutes, and after 5 minutes, reduce the heat to the medium to high and cook for around 10 minutes. So I'm going to show you for 5 minutes. You have to whisk it all the time, otherwise it sticks and overflow as well. So make sure you stir it well. This is really delicious cake. I tried it. My daughter, she allowed me to try a small piece. And it's so quick. It's so easy, quick. Okay, can you see? It's going to thicken it, and you need to stir it for around 15 minutes. But I got the sauce ready, so I'll show you on my ready cake. I'm going to pour it and decorate that cake, and I'll show you how it looks. So it's near boiling. So I'm going to close it now, this, and I'll show you my ready cake, already prepared before. Okay, you can see this cake. I prepared it before. And this caramel sauce is, it should be like this thick. So I prepared it before, so it's I can pour it over the cake. And I'm going to put few walnuts top of the cake. And I got a dry coconut shredded, so I'm going to put coconut as well. And lastly, chocolate chip, vegan chocolate chip. So okay, my chocolate, my caramel cake is ready. So I'm going to cut it and I'll show you. Here. Can you see?
Looks
Yeah,
wonderful.
so I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you, Saben. It was lovely.
Thank you.
It was lovely, nice, delicious. Looks like very, very nice cake.
Thank
Now,
you very much, Punjababen. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity.
no, good. And I would like to say thank you to all the participants who have taken part today and make an effort and entertaining us. I'm sure everyone have enjoyed and Middle Eastern dishes and hope you will try to make it as well. First of all, I would like to thank Hina Ben Modi, who has helped me and she has been organizing this event. Hina Ben Modi, thank you so much for moderating as well as organizing everything. Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank all the participants for taking part in this show. Lots of hard work you put in. And thank you from bottom of my heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Hina Ben Modi was a great coordinator and she has done a lot of hard work in organizing this event, making flyer and advertising this event. Nalin Bhai, our president, has worked very hard as usual. I have got not enough words to say about him. Now, Arvind Bhai and Google team and team. What can I say? You have worked very hard. Arvind Bhai Mehta, Banshri Ben Rupani, Kishore Bhai Batavia, and Nitin Bhai Savadia. All of you have done good job and thank you all very much. Hope to see you soon. Thank you.